Get babies.
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, and there is sometimes species that just kill the young or something. But usually, every animal is very protective of their young because they want them to pass on their genes. Like that's why there's like freaking like the animals will fight over mates. Like it's not always about love in the animal kingdom. It's just like, yeah, this guy has like freaking muscles, or like he has favorable traits and all that. And that's why with humans we see it. Sometimes it's weird because we don't really see it that way. We see other things, even though in their most basic aspects they're pretty primal, like how women prefer to marry up in relationships.
Okay. We're getting
like, you know what I mean?
Into a debate among a culturized and social aspect of humanity instead of the ultimate underlying.
No. I guarantee you, in every single type of culture, it's always been that a woman wants to marry up. Women want either a man that's physically strong, depending on the culture, or a man that's
perhaps that tendency is encouraged because women who have...
Because it increases your survivability.
Yes. But that doesn't make it the purpose.
Then why would you want to survive?
There doesn't have to be a point to survive,
though. Yeah, there is. If there was no point in survival, everyone would kill themselves. Because in the end, it's all futile.
In the end,
Trust me,
it doesn't
like
even
this,
matter.
There's a bunch of reasons why we do the things we do. It's just not dumb luck.
I think it's dumb luck.
It's not dumb luck. No. Okay. For a woman, what do you look for?
I look for...
Physically.
I differentiate sexual
Would you
attraction
say
from
that
emotional attraction.
That's okay, that's fine, but we're saying physically.
But when I'm looking... You would have to take into account the emotional attraction if we're...
Okay, okay. I will. I'll get to that, but like... Physically. In your most primal state.
In my most primal... What does
if
that
you're
mean?
just looking... Like, if you are like a freaking... Like, you've been imprisoned for like 20 years and you've had no nut. And then like you're shown... Like, you're given the choice of one woman. And it's like, create her in your perfect image. What is that?
Probably any sort of woman. Because I would have been so sex deprived.
Okay, but we're saying like your ideal, like the if you were a video game, like and you were in a creative character, what would you want? It'd probably be big knockers and like wide hips, right?
Not necessarily.
All right, well then tell me what it would be.
I don't know. It would probably be the body of the person that I'm emotionally attracted to. Because what I look for, me personally, I gotta have some sort of connection and understanding. Now, I'm not saying I'm one of those people that are like, I'm interested in person for their intellect. I'm saying...
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying on a, like, just physical basis. I don't, like, just something, like, okay, if you were hiring a prostitute, what would you want?
I wouldn't go for a prostitute.
Babe, you're being real difficult for no reason.
Let's be real. You're trying to lower my options when in real life...
No, I'm not. I'm saying you can literally bang anything. Any type of human. What would it be? I'm not saying what your mate would be. I'm not even saying like what type of girl you would be attracted to. I'm saying the physical body. What are you attracted to?
I'm attracted to various types of bodies, like thick and skinny.
Okay, what's the one that you're the most attracted to?
I don't.
It's usually going to be very healthy looking, right?
Probably just not fat.
Like you're not.
That's what I'm saying.
Not a land whale and not a skeleton, right? Would I be correct in that assumption?
Sure, let's go with that.
And, I mean, it makes sense. Why would you? Being grossly obese is not healthy, therefore it's not attractive to us.
I think that's culture.
Being a skeleton is not healthy. It is good. That's what I'm saying. And there's reasons why, like, a normal...
I said that tendency to appreciate that body style is culture.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah, like in ancient...
Because there's implications to body type, but I'm talking about on our most primal level.
How can you make that distinction if you've never been at the most primal level?
I would say 80% of the time, nobody actually wants to bang a fat chick. Right?
I'd say that's fair.
It's like, it's learned or like something like that. It's fetishized. And that's because it doesn't look healthy. It doesn't look right. And,
but you make that...
Okay. The answer I'm trying to look for right now is you want a woman with a big butt and like sizable breasts.
Again, I think that's culture. Because
okay, but what do you think personally?
I don't think of it personally because I have my own specific tastes that are specific to me and me alone. What I'm saying is if you go back to the ancient European civilizations, fat women were seen as attractive because they were rich. They had enough money to get themselves fat.
I know. But we're not talking about, like, thinking about it intellectually like that.
No, but it became non-intellectual. It became instinct. In the same way you don't think about... If something becomes fetishized and common culture, then it loses its meaning.
Alright, hey, I'm saying, like, if you were a caveman, what would you be attracted to? I'm saying that you have no concept of currency or anything.
We were born in the first world. Neither of us have that ability to think.
Yeah, you can. It's easy.
We weren't raised and socialized into a scenario where we would have to think only primally. So we can't.
Why not?
Because we were born in the first world.
So you're saying whenever you're like friggin' you need a nut real bad, you're not just looking for the best of the best of the best?
I'd say I'm looking for whatever media and society has taught me to appreciate. That's what I'd be looking for. Because that's how we've been socialized to think. We're very heavily influenced by our peers and other human beings.
In what culture is a robust woman not favored? Besides, like, the backwards ones that are, like, still developing. Like, I'm gonna say, like, even if you look at a lot of the ancient statues of, like, Greek goddesses and all that, they all have a similar body type.
Sure.
That's why it's called, like, a goddess, like a body of a goddess or something like that. And you see a lot of that, like, porn stars copy that kind of, like, I guess, they try to imitate that kind of body. Because it's just, even though it's unrealistic, that's what the ideal body is.
The ideal body?
Like, we're literally talking about memes right now. Like,
it is, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It is a meme.
It.
But I disagree in the sense where, yeah, but I mean, that proves my point in what I'm trying to say. It's a meme. It's culturally infused. Oh, fuck, I just died. God damn it. Fuck!
I mean, I don't know. Ever since I was a kid and I saw boobs, I thought they were cool. That's all I'm gonna say. Right?
Sure.
Even before you knew you had like a concept of sex, you would like see boobs and you'd be like, my penor's hard now. And then you'd try to hide it.
Right, but we were born into a society where boobs are taboo to look at a young age. They would guard our eyes and say, no, you can't look at that. So that creates a sense of mystery. Sexualization comes from the taboo-ness of the action.
But you don't think that happened back then too?
Fuck, I just fell off again. Damn it. I hate the Dark Souls 1 roll mechanics. But, yeah, sure. Sexualization is timeless.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, we're talking about the science behind sexuality.
And that also has to do with sexualization.
Like, back then, they didn't have freaking statues of skeleton chicks, and they were like, this is the ideal body type.
Okay, no, that actually reminds me. There was the earliest unearthing of ancient pornography, and it was a carving of a little obese woman with curves.
Okay, but they were probably bad drawers. They were trying to draw her curvy. Not like freaking... Like, let's just be honest. People are the people we have now are probably some of the best drawers we've ever had.
Right, because we've developed agriculture and
just
a way to be comfortable.
Well, I mean, we just have developed techniques over the years. We have better tools to draw with. I mean, we just are better.
True.
And we could focus on more things like that. But what I'm saying is, like, there's always been the body type throughout all the ages, and it's the one that everybody looks for. You know what I mean?
What about gay men?
What?
Gay men. What about homosexuality? Where did they fall in place?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what's up with gay men. If I have to be honest, I haven't researched it just because it doesn't interest me that much.
I feel like that's a pretty important anomaly in your case right there, where if the womanly body is the all true sought out for beacon of light, then where do gay men fall in? Are they a mistake in the purpose of humanity?
Yeah. They're a mistake in any... I mean, if we're being, like, completely honest, they are a mistake in any biological life form. Like, do you imagine a gay dodo? Like, we found, like, 2 dodos, right? A boy and a chick, and the guy's gay. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, that would suck.
You're right. That if it could cause something like that, then they are a mistake. Now, I'm not gonna say that all gay people are mistakes, but
well, then how do you determine the difference between a gay person that is a mistake and a gay person that is not a mistake?
No, I'm just saying I'm not gonna say it to their face. No, they are all mistakes. But like, it's just because they can't conceive children with their preferred mate. It's like disabled people. I mean, I'm sorry, but they're mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, we're looking at this from a genetic engineering, like biological engineering.
So there is an ideal perfect human?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Of course.
Then how does random genetic mutation fall
An
into
intelligent... What was that?
How can you say that when random genetic mutation exists? when the human body was changing continuously.
That's why it's called mutation. Mutation is very rarely, like, good.
So, if, say, thousands of generations pass from now, will there be no more perfect human beings?
I don't think perfect human being exists now. We have a concept of what the perfect human being is. I mean, it's like there's a concept of like a perfect, you know, dog. Like a purebred, you know what I mean? Like purebreds, and they're like super muscular, you know, stuff like that. I mean, it's like with the food industry, they'll always, like the bulls, they'll find like the, you know, the best one. Either they're the strongest, they look good, all that, and then they'll just take its semen and it sells for a lot. Just because everybody wants that. They want to, like, impregnate their cows to see if they get something good, you know what I mean?
But that trait came from genetic mutation. That's different, because a bull... We're not breeding bulls for art. We're breeding them for practicality and survival of us.
That's what... No, but okay, that's what we're saying. That, like, why wouldn't you want a big, strong bull? You know what I mean?
You need to expand.
Bulls are usually in agriculture are used mainly for breeding, but they can also do stuff like farm work. You know what I mean? I mean, but usually they're useless, just because, I mean, the only good thing they're good for is banging.
But there's a big difference between the point we're trying to make about humans and something we're trying to make about animals.
No, because we're animals.
I mean, yeah, I wasn't...
There's different, like, factors, like psychology and all that. But other than that, I'm talking about the primal, which is why I'm bringing up animals. You know what I mean?
Sure, but... Explain the analogy and point behind referring to bulls in this scenario. Like, we're talking about the ideal body of a species, right? So
yeah, species, like body type, lineage is important. You know, it's like how some racehorses are worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars just because they come from a good lineage.
Right.
Well, that's important because it shows what you can expect.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
We don't...
I mean, but there's sometimes where it just doesn't work out.
We don't need an ideal human body.
Yeah, we do.
No. Because in the first world and in modern society...
That's the only thing money can't buy now. Really.
Right, but you can survive
the ideal
otherwise. Like, physical traits play no role in the survival of a trait now.
Well, then we're getting into what kind of things you prefer. Do you prefer money? Do you prefer, like, psychological things? Do you prefer the body? I mean, I'm just trying to talk about physical aspects. I'm talking about at our most primal. Like, if you want to
psychological also
talk about
in primal.
No, it doesn't. There's very few things that have to do with the mind that are primal.
How does that make sense when the mind is inherently part of the body?
If we're gonna be honest. The body is usually the only thing that matters. if we're talking about men. With women, they kind of have more psychological reason. But for the most part, it's just... Well, no. I mean, even if it... Okay, we're talking about, like, tribes, like cavemen. You know what I mean?
We were talking about the purpose of... and end goal of humanity. That's where we were... That's where this conversation started off.
There is no end goal. Because if there's an end, then you're not doing it right.
You were claiming that the end goal was to procreate. Or that is the goal.
What I'm saying, in your lifetime, the one thing you need to accomplish is to procreate.
Okay.
That's all you need to do. Now, there's like, I guess, sub-objectives. Like, do that, like, I guess, make sure your kid survives. Make sure they are brought up good. Like, they're well fed so that they grow properly. And anything other than that is a side objective. Like, curing cancer is a side objective, even though you would think it would be the main one, but it's really not.
Now, there are different intentions in wanting your child to survive. There's, I want them to pass on the genes that I've given them, and then there's...
We're talking about normal people, though.
What is the normal person's objective when they raise their child?
A normal person wants them to survive because they love their child.
Right, but define a love for a child.
I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you, because I don't even understand how, like, what the love of having a child is. It's a love I don't understand yet. I'm assuming it must be pretty freaking raw, though, if, like, there's people going to prison for, like, sometimes trivial reasons, just for their kid. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you've seen movies, you've heard probably your parents say, like, I would freaking die for you, or I would go to jail for you, I would do this for you. You know what I mean?
Hold on, defeating the retard.
You know what I mean?
I mean, sure, but...
Like, I can't explain it to you because I don't actually know what it feels like yet. But there is, like, there's different types of loves and all that.
Right.
And that's supposed to be, like, one of the strongest ones.
Is love a primal instinct?
For humans? I think so. For some mammals, I mean, yeah, it actually does exist.
Okay, so... I feel like I know where we're slipping at. We need to define the difference between primal as opposed to whatever you're differentiating it from. So when you say primal, what do you mean?
I'm talking about, like, tribes of freaking, like, not even Native American. I'm talking more primal.
You mean
than
like
that.
demodernized human? Like before we developed agriculture?
Huh? Yeah. I'm talking about like straight up just cavemen.
Then why are we going back in time and trying to get...
Because that's what primal means.
Right, but why go back in time when we've evolved past that?
Because I'm talking about primal. We could get to the other stuff later.
You brought up primal because
Like,
we were talking about
to...
procreating being the end goal of a life.
I'm not even saying it's the end goal. I'm saying that's the main goal.
Main goal, same thing.
No, it's not.
Okay.
End goal implies that once you've done that, you can die. Which, I mean, you can if you want to after that, but I don't think you want to have a child and then just die. Right?
No.
Okay, so it's the main goal. Right?
I mean, you were saying that was what you were supposed to do. find a woman and then procreate. Like, that's the main goal?
Yeah.
That's the main goal.
That's the main goal. Without that, what else is there? Because let's not be mistaken, Abe. Once you die, you're dead.
Sure, yeah.
You're freaking dead. Like, no... Unless you were this incredible... That's what I'm saying. Like, unless you're this incredible person, nobody's gonna remember you for more than, like, a week.
Rip.
Yeah, like, it's pretty depressing to think about, but it's true. That's how it happens. Now, when you have kids, they remember you, I would say, more than the public does. Right?
Sure, yeah. We're just close family members.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even with close family members, come on, man. You think anyone remembers, like, do you remember who your great-great-great-grandfather was?
No, but their children remember them.
Or, like,
years.
your great-great-great-great-uncle? You know what I mean? Very rarely will you last more than, like, 20 years as a memory.
I mean, you'll last,
like, maybe 2 generations.
right. So is another goal to be remembered?
It depends. For me, yeah. I'm terrified of not being remembered. Because that's all that matters. Now, if you want to be honest...
procreating and being remembered. These are the goals of a life. Of a modern human life.
If we're saying modern humans...
I mean...
Yeah. I mean, that's why... Well, you'd have kids so that you could be remembered. But if we're being honest, I think that's more of my own bias, is being remembered, because that's just something that is very, very, very important to me. But no, I would say it's still just having kids.
Children. I don't know. I still disagree with you there. Having children is not...
Well, what are you gonna do if you don't have kids?
I mean, when you were saying
when you're old
it was the
and
primal need to have kids, I disagree there, because I think it's not the primal need to have the kids, it's the primal need to satisfy the sexual urge. Like, of course, the sexual urge results in a child, but the intention is to satisfy the urge, not the child.
Well, yeah. But then, what happens when you have a child?
They have the sexual urge.
No, they take care of the child.
Fuck them. Give them daddy issues.
You need to stop. You need to stop. But come on, you can understand that, right?
What?
That once you have the child, usually they would take care of the child, unless they... It's like, okay.
You can totally not give a fuck about your child.
You can. And that's why it's so hard, because, like, really, humans have been, like, pretty freaking developed for a while. So we've caught on to a lot of psychological and mental, like, things. Like, different states of being, of mind, and just corruption, and because really, if we're being honest, what animal is like? What do you mean?
Is stepping away from the primal way of doing things corruption in society? Is that what corruption is?
It's technically degenerate.
So, being modernized and being able to specialize within society is corruption in the sense where we're moving away from the primal way of thought. Is that what you're saying?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Like taking up a job and
Yes.
stuff?
No, because
No, because we've always done that.
No.
There's like humans have always been like a pack animal.
We were hunter-gatherers for a time, and then when we settled down and developed agriculture where we could stay stationary in one place, that's when specialized jobs came about.
No, because hunters and gatherers is a job in and of itself.
Yeah, but that was
There's
everyone
hunter.
knew how to do everything.
Yeah, but there was some that were like just better at it. Like you would think like the Chads were the hunters and the freaking Neats were the gatherers. Like you know what I mean? Or the women would be gatherers and the men would be hunters.
Gender roles are,
Right.
throughout history, inherent. I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing...
But I'm even saying that there'd probably be some weak men that would probably not hunt.
That's speculation, but yeah.
But you would think that that happened more often than not.
If you were weak, you wouldn't be able to support yourself.
I'm saying like they could not support themselves, but they could freaking gather. They just couldn't hunt. Like you know what I mean? There's jobs.
One moment.
Ooh.
Oh, we'll continue this.